Spooky Tuesday.
Sheriff, what happened?
No ID, no fingerprints in the system.
For now, she's a Jane Doe.
Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
That's Winnie. And
That
I'm
is-
Monica Hyde.
And I'm Chelsea Duff.
We're keeping that. And this week on the pod, we are talking about the 2016 film, The Autopsy of Jane Doe. And let's just give you the synopsis right off the bat. This is a la IMDb. A father and son, both coroners, unfortunate, are pulled into a complex mystery while attempting to identify the body of a young woman who is apparently harboring dark secrets. It's pretty good. It didn't say unfortunately. Honestly, that was rude of me.
Yeah,
Coroners
that-
make the world go round. And I know Sydney would love to be or date a coroner. And so I'm sorry. And I take it back. Immediately, I am making an apology.
Well, it is unfortunate for the characters in this movie that they're both
Yes.
corners. So I think it was fair to say, especially for Emil Hirsch, who's like, this is your dream, Dad, not mine. You know what I mean? Even though presumably you have to go to medical school. So presumably he's been to fucking medical school for this job. But whatever. I mean, I guess he could go be some other
He's
kind
just-
of doctor, probably, right?
He was
Is
a
that how being
tech.
a doctor works?
He's just a tech. He's not a full blown.
How do you know?
He says it in the movie.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
excuse me.
It's
Sorry,
said.
that came out so much.
How do you know? There's a
you
part
know?
I
where
apologize.
they
I've been very snippy today. I can't say it
Don't
won't happen again.
Take it out on me.
That's what my mom said on the phone earlier. I had to apologize like 5 times. Anyway, she was snippy too. You can cut this out. It's fine.
But okay, so this movie, I had seen it before. Sydney's seen it before. Chelsea, this was her first time. And I mean, we all know how I feel about it because I said this was a masterpiece leading into this last episode. But Chelsea, what did you think? Did you feel spooky scared?
I did feel spooky scared. I did say, I remember last week you said we hadn't done like an actually scary movie in a while. And I think that's true. There might have been the occasion. Well, It Follows was sort of a but more cerebral scary than like scary. I think that I definitely was scared at moments. You know what I mean? I wasn't necessarily sure what was going to happen. I liked it, grand scheme. I have some discussion questions because I have some bones to pick with this movie. So I'm not going to say that I loved it just yet. Maybe you'll talk me into it. Maybe you'll talk me out of it. We'll find out.
It'd be very convincing.
Yes, but I did enjoy my viewing experience.
Yeah, this time around, I watched this at 6 a.m. on a Monday because my weekend was too packed to watch it at a normal time of day, and we were going to record that night. But Hurricane Ida got in the way, and so we did not watch that day. So I didn't need to get up at 6 a.m. to watch it, which I'm a little bit sad about because, man, this is not a good movie to start your day with. I forgot that it's just body horror like the entire fucking time. Like it's a cadaver thing. It's a coroner thing. Duh, of course. Like the realities of that didn't set in until the movie was done. And I was in the car heading to work and I was just like, oh man, I'm fucking freaked out. That said, still liked it quite a bit. Held up for the second, or this is my third watch. But Sydney, did you like it this time around too?
I had a very fun time again with this one. I watched this Sunday night for date night. Poor Jesse does not like scary movies. And
Jesse's name drop on the pod.
It's okay. He doesn't listen. It's fine. He'll never know. And
for a guy who doesn't like horror movies, he does watch them with you every Sunday. So
yeah, because I bully him. I'm like, we're watching this scary movie. And he's like, can we not? And I'm like, no, we have
Nope.
to.
Literally,
No.
I have to, or I
I
can't
have
record the
to.
podcast. So
This is
It's a responsibility.
business, okay. And we were watching it, and the entire time you could tell he's just like, why the fuck am I watching this? And I'm just like, maybe I should have done the other family business and been a mortician and could have done this, because that could have been the other family business. If it wasn't radio, mortician. I would have been great at handling all of the dead bodies. I would have loved that environment,
I
I
absolutely
see
believe
for
that.
you.
Yeah.
And what is being a coroner if not a version of human taxidermy? As a huge
Oh.
taxidermy fan myself, I was just thinking the other day, I could use some more taxidermy in the house, and no one else in my house thinks that, but I think that.
I think that. So that's me and you.
There you go. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. I'm looking at my taxidermied moths right now that you got me. So thank you very much. But I have an appreciation for the art. I'd also never really thought deeply about coroners and what they have to do at all, and all of the places that they cut the body. That I hadn't thought about that, because usually, I experience coroners in the 1 minute segment in the freaking CBS CSI Criminal
Yeah, I was
Minds.
gonna say, if you've been watching as much CSI as Sydney and I have, it would accumulate. And Manu
True.
did make me watch a clip from CSI literally yesterday about the morgue doctor rocking out in the morgue, singing a little rock and roll, making up his own little morgue song, and that did feel like a through line to the rock and roll in the morgue in this movie. So CSI is always going to come back around if you're in a horror world. Also, Jimson weed, total thing in this movie, and there's an episode of CSI where Milo Ventimiglia smoked Jimson weed and then murdered his friend. So once again, things come together here at this
Shit.
podcast.
Jimson weed will fuck you up in more ways than one. Damn. Wasn't it poisonous in this movie?
In this
He
movie, they're like,
smoked it?
they said it's essentially halothane, which it's not, but
I thought it was like a paralysis.
Yeah, halothane.
not in reality, but in
Oh,
the
okay.
universe of this movie, that's what the information that they gave us.
Yes, reading the trivia for this movie, I was like, oh, they did fuck some shit up. But
Oh, I read the goofs too. I read the goofs this time
there
too.
were quite a few goofs. But that said, I, as someone who doesn't know everything, I had a wonderful time because I had no idea that they goofed that shit. It was fantastic. But yeah, setting the scene, this movie is, like we said, about the father-son coroner duo. Love that for them. The dad's name is Tommy, but we're going to probably refer to him as the dad for most of this time, played by Brian Cox, and the son's name is Austin, played by Emil Hirsch. This film does not pass the Bechdel test. So there are two women in the movie, but one's a corpse.
Played by an actual woman.
Which is a really, really interesting part about this movie. Like, you'd think that they'd use like a doll or something like that for a movie where it's just a cadaver the entire time, but I'm so glad that they didn't. The actress that played Jane Doe is Olwen Catherine Kelly. Olwen is like a very awesome first name.
Yes.
I want it to be Owlin for Owlin. No, it's Olwen is better. I'm so sorry. I take it all back. But I keep getting owl vibes because it almost spells out owl. But she plays the cadaver and she plays it so well,
She does a great job.
She does a great job. She's fucking ass naked this entire fucking movie. The entire movie, she is naked on a slab. That's what the movie is. And I mean, that takes a lot of bravery to just actually be that naked in front of an entire film set for however long, days and days, weeks and weeks, months and months, maybe. But like in the small amount of acting that she does do, I mean, it is all acting the whole time. Like, it's all just like very micro what she's doing. And she slays it, man. Absolutely terrifyingly vacant,
Apparently she has modeled. She's been a model. And she she was worried about being nude around all of these people on set because apparently it was
Fair.
8 hours a day for 5 weeks, a very long time. But apparently she had done a modeling job after moving to London for IMDb, where she posed totally naked except for a pair of shoes in a room full of people. So she was like, maybe this is right up my alley. And also she's a big yoga practitioner, I guess. So she used like her yoga techniques to like stay really still and silent and calm for the most part, and I guess slow her breathing maybe, so she's not like visibly breathing the
Yeah.
whole fucking movie on the table. Other than that, you're right, she has like one thing that she gets to do and it's like wiggle a toe.
Yeah, and that's like literally the last scene of the whole fucking movie.
but it's gotta be fucking hard to do that with everything else going on around you. You know what I mean? Like that's got to be the hardest role in the whole movie, frankly.
Yeah. They must have had to have the temperature in that room just right, so she would never like get a little cold and have her like nipples get hard or get
like
goose
goosebumps.
flesh or anything like that. Oh, hi Spooky 2. Sorry, Sydney's cat is on the pod. Sydney has been
Well,
by her cat. But yeah, I mean, it must have been a very pleasant, just tepid, lukewarm temperature in order to have no bodily reactions like at all. Or they did actual good editing, which, you know, I didn't they had a lot of goofs in this, but I never saw her breathing. So
one goof though, about her, well, who knows if it's a goof, but the whole thing is okay, so they Bruce Bolton from Game of Thrones is a sheriff, and he is at this house where 3 people have been murdered. And then in the basement, half buried in the dirt, there's this pristine Jane Doe. And that's the body that they bring back to the morgue later. When I say pristine, I absolutely mean it. She's very, very clean, untouched by the dirt around her. Everything about her is very clean, except for IMDb trivia points out, I did not notice myself, but IMDb trivia points out that the soles of her feet are the only parts of her body that are visibly dirty. And presumably that is just from walking on set to film this movie. You know what I mean? And just nobody came around and was like, oh, let's wipe her feet off once she gets on the table. So
big goof.
That's
goof.
funny.
Wow.
Big
Take away
goof.
the IMDb rating that they have. I don't know that they won any awards to take away.
Or it gives the illusion that she's got the dirt on her feet because when they're not in the room, she's walking around.
Wow, spooky.
Wow. Also, this movie did win awards, but I don't know what they are. But it says at the top 8 wins and 10 nominations. So there is something you could take away from them. Oh, they won the Saturn, or they were nominated for the Saturn Award for Best Horror Film. And they won Best Picture at the Austin Fantastic Fest. Wow. Good for them. Amazing. But yeah, so this movie starts out as a banger right away. Also just that shot when you see her in the dirt and how red the dirt is, it's just stunning. Like there's a lot of great cinematography in this and framing. And they make a point throughout the film because you know we're going back. The vast majority of this movie is them cutting this lady apart. You know, it's an autopsy. Hello, welcome to the movie. And every time they like make an incision, they like pan to her face a lot of the time. And that's like another cinematic like tool that they use to try to make it seem like she's having a reaction. Like it gives you like, it pans to her face, which is still vacant, but it's like as these cuts are being made into where it's like, oh, is she feeling this? Because the whole idea with the movie is that Tommy, the dad, stays late to do a special favor for the sheriff, who is his homie, who needs to have this body looked at tonight because it doesn't make any fucking sense how all these people died in this house and this body was in there, and he needs to know because the press is going to be at his throat the next morning. And his poor little son Austin is too good of a son. He is. He is, because he's about to go on a hot date with his very hot girlfriend who has very cute front bangs. We're
And
having
played Kitty on Elementary
Oh my
with
God.
Lucy Liu, my wife.
Lucy Liu. Wow. Any step closer to Lucy Liu is 100% a good thing. Also, her real name is Ophelia Lovibond or Lavibond, and that's a fantastic name as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gets sucked in to come and play a part in this last minute autopsy, and it's the last decision he'll ever make. Well, that's not true, but it's the biggest mistake he'll ever make in his short life. But yeah, poor decision making. Like, it's late at night. Dad said you don't have to stay. I certainly wouldn't stay. But I guess Austin is a better son than I am.
Well,
I really
you
would
wonder-
not ask. Sorry, you go, Sydney.
I was gonna say, you wonder, like, while they're doing these other autopsies and stuff, the dad is like, we are just here like to find the thing, and he is very curious as to like what happened, why did this happen, all these other things. And so if the sheriff is bringing a body in like so late, I think his curiosity killed yourself, I guess.
Curiosity killed Emil Hirsch.
Curiosity killed a cat, both metaphorical and literal
Oh,
in this movie.
Oh no, you're so right.
No.
I fucking forgot.
Or Stanley. Pour one
Blocked
out for Stanley.
Poor Stanley. They introduce a beautiful coroner cat, which is like the best possible thing. This is the most Sydney thing I've ever heard of in my life. Just like the coroner cat. Like Sydney one day will be reborn as a coroner cat. Like that will be what she will be. But hopefully not this one. Because Stanley gets got, man, in a nasty, nasty way. Eaten by a demon or something.
They don't really
spirit
explain is the thing. Not to jump around too much, because Sydney, if you would like to finish your thought before we move on, I would like to encourage you to do so. Because I fear once we go down this road, we will go down a much longer road than I anticipate.
I think my thought was less of him like he obviously like wants to help his dad, but I think he was more like curious as to the situation of why was this woman brought in, like what's so special about her, instead of being like, when he told his girlfriend like, oh no, like I need to help my dad, but that wasn't that's not the real motives.
His dad is all science, he's all human element, and so he said there's some fascinating human element here, daddy. Anyway, but yeah, the first sign of trouble we get, well, there are many signs of trouble in the sense that they start to do this autopsy on this woman, and it's fucking weird. Everything's very strange. She like bleeds the second that they cut into her, and Emil Hirsch is like, are they supposed to bleed? And the dad is like, no, but it's not like the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Like, I have had bleeders before. They're just like usually very fresh bodies, an hour or two old. And like her eyes are cloudy, and they're like, well, their eyes shouldn't really be cloudy unless she's been dead for several days. So like it's weird that one thing is telling us she's been dead for 2 hours, which we already know is not true. And another thing is telling us she's been dead for several days, which doesn't seem to be true either. There's all this like
inconsistency,
conflicting information. Yeah. But the first sign that you really get that something serious is going to go down in this movie is the cat. Who kind of comes and goes as he pleases, I guess. Stanley the cat, great name for a cat. I've always thought it is very funny to give aggressively normal human people names to pets. So Stanley's like their little mouse catcher, but he's kind of a bitch, I guess. They're always like, oh, this cat. And then there's something like rattling around in one of the vents, and Emil Hirsch at one of at least 3 moments in this movie where he sticks his face right next to a hole where there's going to be something scary on the other side of it.
Learn from your mistakes.
Learn from your mistakes, Emil Hirsch. Anyway, he decides to investigate this vent and what might be rattling around in there. And there's something spooky that scares him. And then when he takes a closer look after his dad rushes in to see what's going on, they discover that the cat is all like
mortally
mauled,
wounded,
essentially. Yeah, but they never explain how that happened. Nothing else spooky is really happening yet. I don't know if it's just like there are sharp things in vents and cats should not be crawling around in them. If it's implied that something else happened, I don't know, because it's like obviously spoilers for this movie, you guys. But Jane Doe, the dead body who is dead under mysterious circumstances because they cannot determine anything that is not conflicting with any other thing they can determine. She essentially creates this horror narrative where all of the other bodies in the morgue get up and are walking around. But they're not doing that yet at that point. So it's like, what would have gotten the cat? What happened to the cat? And I went to Google, and other people have Googled what happened to the cat.
I think also it could have been what the dad said it was, which was like, oh, there must be a skunk under the house and it killed them. Because that it could just be like a false flag or whatever. It gets you spooked that spooky things are happening, but it's not actually the witch killing cats, because that's just not in character for a witch.
It's not in character for a witch or this specific witch.
I have a theory, but I want to discuss it like later in the film when we get to a better talking point.
Okay.
All right. That's fair. That's fair. But does really start to fuck you up, because no one likes to see cat death. And shit's gonna hit the fan. But you already know shit's fucked up because I am cursing a lot this time. Because like her lungs are completely black when they open her up, which like they're like, oh, this would only happen if she had, like 5th degree burns all over her body. But her skin is porcelain and perfect and there's not a scratch on her. So that doesn't make any sense. And then the part that's really extra gross, inside of her chest cavity, her heart and like her other organs have little cuts all over them. Okay, like scars all over them. They're like, it looks like a little knife cut into her insides. That's impossible, right? Must be some sort of genetic disease. Like that, okay.
Her waist is too small. Don't forget.
Too small.
And don't forget she's missing a tooth and they find it wrapped in a thing in her stomach.
Oh my God, yeah. And the fact that her tongue is gone, like all of this, that was a disgusting reveal. What?
That's the focal point of one of my discussion questions. I just don't know that we're prepared for. Honestly, I could just do discussion questions this whole time and not really talk about the movie specifically in any meaningful way because I have many a discussion question.
As with the discussion questions, this movie is kind of like, it's kind of like just like haunted house spooky, it's not like plot points. It's like the greater story develops, There are things that happen though. We'll get to those. The poor girlfriend.
I will say the movie's like an hour and a half long. When I was like 35 minutes in, I was like, how is this going to be a movie that resolves itself in the next 50 minutes? Because right now it feels like the first episode of a 13 episode run prestige mystery drama thriller. And I just couldn't figure out how they were going to get the ball rolling, but they did. They did do it. They did a pretty good job. But okay, my discussion questions.
I liked the pacing. I liked how it was just like, this is weird. This is weird. Oh, fuck, shit's really fucked up. And then it just spirals out of control towards the end. I thought it was very nicely paced.
Okay,
so hit us with that discussion question.
Yeah. I have many. But this one is that throughout the course of the movie, we pretty much learn that they're dissecting her. They're doing all these things. They're trying to do an autopsy. You know what I mean? Normal, innocent autopsy, whatever. And they come to the conclusion at one point in the film that like whatever they do to her, she's gonna do to them, whatever. But then at the end of the movie, after they're both dead, her body like heals itself back together, right?
Yeah.
Why does her tongue not grow back? Why does she have vaginal scarring inside of her body? Are we to presume that those wounds were inflicted on her before her first death, or those are related to what killed her? And then all of the other scarring and stuff that she apparently can heal are things that happened to her after her death? Why are those wounds permanent, but other wounds are not?
Well, I think that with the other people in the house in the opening scene, I don't necessarily think that she inflicted the same pains that happened to her onto them. I think because at the beginning, this movie, like at the beginning of The Haunting, when the bodies are going walking down the street, attacking everyone, attacking the husband and wife. Wow. Okay, no, the son and the father. They're just getting like fucked up. They're just getting injured. They're not necessarily being inflicted the same pains that she went through. But the dad coroner in this movie explicitly asks her, he's like, please, like, give me all of your pains and give me all of your injuries so that my son will like, so I can take that pain from you and then you don't have to hurt my son. Like he invites that in and then it all starts happening to him. And so I think that was a different scenario. And I also have a theory with that too, because did you guys notice at the end, like her eyes cloud back over again and that sort of thing?
Yeah.
I think that because all of the healing and all of that was going down of the cadaver's body, of Jane Doe's body, it wasn't fully done yet when Emil Hirsch's character stabs the dad in the heart to kill him because he's in so much pain. So I feel like the transference didn't fully occur, and so it kind of put us back to square one. I don't know if that was the intent of the movie, but that's kind of how I read it, because it seemed like it was just a little bit too soon. He was still alive, still absorbing all of that pain. Not all the things that had happened to her were happening to him. And then Emil Hirsch killed him, so there was nothing left for him to be able to
give.
Yeah.
That's interesting, actually, because I was kind of reading the ending of this film as like the dad asked her to do everything to him. What he says is I won't fight you, but please don't hurt him. Let me help you. And so he had kind of come to the conclusion, like earlier in that scene where he said, everything they did to her, everything we've done to her, she can feel it. She wants us to feel it too. That's why she's keeping us alive. This is her revenge. This is her ritual. And then he says to her, like, just do it to me, and let my son go. And the dad goes through all of this. Like, we see his wrists and ankles breaking just like Jane Doe's. And we see him like puff out a breath of smoke, like his lungs are blackened just like Jane Doe's. He's in like extreme agony, whatever, etc. And then you're right, Emil Hirsch stabs his dad to end his suffering, I guess. And then Emil Hirsch is trying to get out because Roose Bolton has come. Their morgue is like in the basement of their home / crematorium. And the way that you can get out is there's an elevator that goes up, and there are doors that lead to like the outside of the home, like storm doors for a basement. And the power goes, there's like a huge storm and the power goes out, so the elevator is like not necessarily functioning reliably or well. But so at the end of the movie, he goes to try and get out of the storm doors, which had been blocked earlier in the movie. And Roose Bolton is there being like, we're gonna clear the tree that's blocking the doors, like, don't worry, we're gonna get you out, keep trying. And he keeps trying and being like, I can't open them. And then he turns around, his dead dad's corpse is behind him, he gets scared, he falls off the balcony, he dies. I kind of figured like she was gonna get them both, but she spared Emil Hirsch the pain or whatever. She gave him like a little psychological torture, but she gave him a quick death, and that was the mercy that she was able to offer him after the dad like offered himself up. But your take is really interesting, suggesting that like the process wasn't finished, and that's why she goes back from brown-eyed to cloudy-eyed at the end.
That's what I took away from it. Because I also think it's really interesting that the witch Jane Doe is able to like also become other voices, like, because that's not actually the sheriff outside the door,
right?
It's her
right,
projecting the voice, like, and then he starts singing like the Sunshine Song, which is so fucking creepy. Let me just say,
the song is the worst.
The song is amazing, and apparently, according to IMDb trivia, it's a song that is a 45 and they played it at 33.5 speed, so it's like slowed down version of that song.
I don't know that IMDb is right about that. Because I was also like, why this song? Why is a ghost from the 1600s attached to this song, which came out in the 50s? And I did a little Wikipedia-ing. And the original song, it's called Open Up Your Heart, parentheses, and Let the Sunshine In. The original song was published in 1954. And then the Cowboy Church. Okay, so it was this is so like esoteric trivia, but it's whatever. Here I am doing this. I think IMDb trivia says it's the Cowboy Church Sunday School version that they use. And the way that the original song was recorded was with Stuart Hamblin, the writer. His wife and adult daughters recorded it at 33 and 1/3 revolutions per minute, rates per minute. I don't know what RPM stands for. But they recorded it at that rate. And then it was played at 45 RPM so that it sounded like children. But then it was recorded by the Cowboy Church Sunday School, which is children, at 45 RPM. But if you play it at 33 1/3 RPM, it sounds more natural. But IMDb trivia or Wikipedia says the version that's in this movie was recorded by the McGuire sisters. And so I'm not sure like what exactly they recorded it at, because presumably they are adults. They're an adult singing trio. So I'm not sure exactly if this was like sped up or slowed down to be spookier, or if it's just naturally unbelievably spooky. But that was the research that I did
sped
here.
up because it would be, it's pretty slow. So if it was sped up, then it would be like, so like the
That's right.
slowest fucking shit ever. But yeah, I love a theme song, you know, for a film. And also
Sure.
like I didn't understand why it was a song either. There's no real understanding. There's no real reason. It's probably just spooky.
Just
but then
spooky.
I love that one instance where they play it, where it has the lead in, where it talks about the devil, and I was like,
yes, they get that twice.
yeah, I loved that, because the first time, you know, it's just the sunshine and you never know what crap can be on the radio. Sorry, Sydney. In the middle of nowhere.
I thought you were apologizing for saying crap, and I was like, I think with it, Monica.
Shit 5 seconds before that.
She doesn't like the word crap, Monica. You have to apologize.
I know. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Sydney. I know you hate the word crap.
I hate the
saying
world.
Shit instead.
The C word, unacceptable, Monica.
That's too far. That's too far. Fuck is okay. Shit is okay. Crap, how dare you?
How dare you? We have to draw the line somewhere. Okay.
And that's where it is. Okay, so please respect that.
Oh man. But yeah, back to the original discussion question though. That's a really interesting one. But that's how I read it, and I don't know. I like the idea that like Emil Hirsch screwed it up, and so he got. Not that I necessarily think she would have pardoned him either way, because like, you know, this is another low-key good for her movie where she's like, you know, like, I have been like cast away over centuries. These horrible people made me who I am, and so fuck all of y'all. And so she could have just done that anyway, you know what I mean?
Right.
Just done it.
But and that was a good discussion, and I appreciate that, and I thank you. But the question was, why doesn't her tongue grow back, and why does she still have vaginal scarring? Why don't those wounds heal?
Well, the tongue one was he didn't have a chance to cut his own tongue out. Emil Hirsch killed him, so she didn't get her tongue back.
Are you talking about?
I'm saying
I answered that in the discussion earlier, because the people that she killed first house didn't necessarily say, let me take on all of your pain, you know what I mean? The same way that the coroner dad did.
Yeah, and Tommy doesn't have a vagina, so he couldn't like fix that.
Wait. Everybody slow down. Okay.
Wait, let's pause because the question we had this discussion already. I'm very confused.
Well, let me explain my question.
Okay.
Presumably she has like the black scarring in her lungs and all of the scarring in her body from my assumption was like other autopsies that have been performed on this body, and she has healed from those since, that she keeps going through this cycle of being autopsied or being dissected or having her body fucked with in other ways, and then she heals after she kills everybody, so that she can go on and be autopsied again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't think about it
these
as
wounds
like
were inflicted on her already, that for her to have all of this internal scarring and all of this internal like body trauma, and the insides are not healing, but the outside, I mean, I guess that's the answer then, is that her tongue and her vaginal walls are external enough in a sense that they are internal enough in a sense that they're not healing the same way that like her lungs are still blackened when they cut into her. It's just like her body is putting it. I just don't understand that part, I guess. Maybe it just doesn't make sense.
I don't think it necessarily just doesn't. I don't just think it
might
makes
just
sense. I
might
think
just
it
not
doesn't
make sense.
Yeah,
because that was what I assumed.
The spookiness of it all. That
Yeah,
she
what
looks
I
all
kind
pretty
of-
on the outside, but she's all
Mhm.
screwed up on the inside. Damn.
Honestly,
Love
a
some
metaphor-
spookiness with no explanation.
Yep.
Honestly, a metaphor for my life, you know? Just
Beautiful, gorgeous, stunning. Don't
Beautiful
look
on
any
the
closer.
outside.
super fucked up on the inside.
I love when life imitates art, when art imitates life. It's a little circle that goes round and round. But yeah, I guess the conclusions that I had drawn were kind of like, so she was a witch who, or okay, there's another question on this note that I will get to, but she died in the 17th century and was buried in a peat bog. At some point, perhaps in our modern era, she was unearthed from this peat bog. And they were like, who is this? Let's start the scientific autopsy process. And it was like the autopsies and the cremations and stuff like that that caused a lot of the internal scarring and the blackened lungs and all that. But because she is a supernatural entity, her body kept like knitting itself together and being rediscovered and just kept getting like passed along or found in new places or whatever. But I guess it just, maybe it just doesn't make sense. Maybe it just...
I didn't think about the repeat autopsy thing. In my mind, I was like, well, where did this movie take place? Do we know?
It takes place in Grantham, Virginia, but they have Pennsylvania license plates.
Another goof. Wow.
Another goof.
Where's Salem?
Massachusetts.
Okay, well, that doesn't make sense. I was thinking that, like, during the witch trial part, that's when all the pain was inflicted upon her. And then they buried her super deep into the earth. And then she hadn't been unearthed until these people were trying to dig a deeper basement in their house and all hell broke loose. That's
like
what I was thinking. I didn't think it was autopsies that caused that damage, because I thought the point of the big revelation that the coroner dad and son have is that, like, oh, they thought she was a witch, so they kept doing all of these things to her, like like maybe the witch's tests or whatever, and it just killed her. But then the horrible acts they committed upon her turned her into a witch. So I was thinking that all of those things, the tongue being cut out and all of it happened during that witch trial, not whatever, torturing her because she was a witch, because she was evil, because she was spawned of the devil. And then she's just been under the ground being a sexy corpse for hundreds of years, and this is the first time she was being unearthed. That's how I thought of it.
And the people found her trying to like renovate their house.
Yeah.
Do we think that her body being partially buried or partially unburied, I guess you could argue, in their basement is related to those murders? Do you think that they found the body in the basement when they were investigating the murders? Do you think she's the one that killed them?
She's the one that killed them for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were they burying her?
No. I think they were doing work on their basement, found her body, which unearthed the evil, because the whole thing that the sheriff was saying at the beginning was that there was no sign of intruder for these murders. There's no sign of intrusion. It looked like all of them, quote, it looked like all of them were trying to get out. So they were trying to escape the house, and she trapped them in and killed them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
They say that in the movie.
So this
So
leads
she could have been
me-
there for a long time. We don't know.
Yeah,
But
we don't know.
So, okay, but this leads me to the one thing that I wanted to talk about earlier was, is Jane Doe the witch? Is she like using superpowers to like cause these reanimations of all these things, or is she using her powers to cause hallucinations that are like nothing is happening to these people, but she's making them see all of these things? Because that could explain Stanley the cat, which would make it like really sad, like she just saw, like made them think that he was mauled and nothing was really wrong with him, and he was just in the vent.
What it is.
And they killed the cat.
I have this whole theory because I noticed something in the end of the movie that was driving me fucking wild, and I rewatched the end of the movie.
Wait, I hope that you're going to say it's the same thing that was driving me crazy about the end of the movie.
I believe, Sydney, that it is hallucinations because I don't believe that the girlfriend died.
Me too!
Because at the end of the movie, they never. Okay, this is literally how this is literally what they
I'm so
show.
glad you think the same thing as me.
Yes, this was driving me insane. I was talking to Adam about it. I was like, Adam, do you remember the last bit of the movie? He's like, Monica, it has been a year and a half since I've seen that movie. Of course not. And I was like, well, too bad. I'm going to say this to you anyway. But basically, the sheriff starts out, maybe he looks at the Jane Doe's body first, but he starts out at Emil Hirsch's body. And he's like looking at him. And then it pans to the hallway, but they do not show, like, were the stairs not next to the elevator? They were, right?
Emil Hirsch stepped over Emma's body to get to the base of the stairs. His body was then at the base of the stairs. The cops passing through would have had to step over her body to walk through that hallway. They don't step over anything. There's a technician in the background, and for a second I was like, maybe he's like attending to a pool of blood. I don't know, because I kind of thought it was that, and I rewound a billion times to look at it. I screenshot the shit out of that scene. There's no pool of blood. There's no proof that Emma was ever there. I thought it was so stupid when she died, and then I was like, maybe she did it. Maybe she did it. Maybe she did it.
At the end, they take Jane Doe, they put the sheet over her, they put her in her own coroner van because she's going to a different coroner place that's outside the county because the sheriff's like, get this bitch out of here, which like he had some good intuition there. And then they show 2, count them, 1, 2 bodies go by in body bags, only 2. And then they show only 2 cars leaving. So it's not like, oh, they already put a body in a different car. That doesn't make sense. We know there's only Jane Doe in the one truck. And then the other truck, I was thinking about it, they can't fit that many bodies sideways in a van, you know? I don't think they could fit 3 bodies side by side in a van like that unless they're stacking them, and that's fucked up. They don't do that shit.
And I don't think they would have packed up her body so quickly and left the other 2 bodies just chilling there for so long while they were examining the scene. I absolutely think that she did not die. I'm so glad that you also think that. And also I choose to reject Sydney's theory, which is heartbreaking, and instead believe that the whole cat thing was a hallucination, just like the whole axing Emma thing was a hallucination. Stanley's alive. Stanley's out there. Stanley's lives.
Alive.
#Stanley lives.
No, I really think that
Stanley lives. Stanley's still in the vent. Stanley's still under the house. Whatever. #Stanley lives.
Okay, because it just obviously, honest to God, doesn't make any fucking sense for the girlfriend to come back. Because literally, how did the elevator work? That doesn't make any sense. There's no power. The generator isn't strong enough to get the elevator to really work again. And also, why would she come? Okay, even if that's not as good of a point, why would she come out in the middle of the goddamn storm where it's like the storm of the century?
The storm
isn't real.
Fake.
Oh,
it was
shit.
fake.
The storm's not real.
Because at the end of the movie, we hear the radio being like,
oh, that
it's been a
bitch.
beautiful 4 days. Like
4 days of sunshine.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right?
yes. that's
How'd
the
she
thing.
get the trap doors to stay closed? She's just real strong.
Well, that was just her inside of Austin and Tommy's brains, I guess, making them think that they couldn't open it.
I like this movie more now.
Yeah. So here's the thing. You can argue that the girlfriend really did die because the storm doors being blocked is part of the hallucination, imagination. It's not reality. And neither is the power being out because of the storm. So theoretically, the elevator is working just fine. Also, there's a moment where they hear like that the elevator is moving. Maybe that was her coming down and she's just really quiet and tucks herself out of sight for some reason that doesn't really make sense, but like maybe whatever. So you could make the argument that she really does come back because he tells her like, come back at 11. We'll go see a midnight movie. First of all, that's too late. That's too late.
I would
to
be
go see a
asleep.
movie.
I would be asleep. 100%.
He's like, will you do this? Blah, blah, blah. You're smiling. That means yes. She says maybe. That means yes, unless I'm feeling sleepy, in which case I will be going to bed.
Unless
but so
it is the Rocky Horror Picture Show, I'm not going to a midnight movie.
If you're planning for a midnight premiere, fine. If you're planning for a Rocky Horror Picture Show midnight screening, fine. Anything else, I will not be leaving my home at 11 p.m. to begin my plans. You have to get me out way earlier, or by the time it hits 10:30, I'm gonna be like sleepy. So I don't buy into this theory that she really came back. I think that whole thing is a hallucination. She's safely asleep in her bed, being like, my boyfriend is such a piece of shit. But other than that, she's fine. Because honestly, the idea of her actually being dead pisses me off so much that she got one scene and then came back, no words, just to get slaughtered. It makes me, it's like the only purpose it served was to make Emil Hirsch sad. That's the only purpose that it served if she really did die. Psychological torture. But it's a classic case of fridging, if that's what it was, because it's killing the girlfriend for the boyfriend's character development and for him to have this experience. And I just hate that. And we didn't see her body at the end. So I'm 100% on board with she is safely asleep in her bed because she said maybe she did not even commit to coming back in the first place. So she just didn't come back.
Hashtag Emma lives.
Hashtag Emma lives.
Hashtag
Emma and Stanley
lives.
happily ever after. Emma's gonna adopt that cat. I believe.
Yeah.
I
believe. No, that's canon. It's canon now. And I think it kind of is. There are a lot of goofs in this movie, but like honest to God, like this, it's got to be intentional. It has to be intentional. It really makes me like it a lot more. Cause like,
yes.
I also just like, I like the cadavers walking around, obviously, in this movie. I think that was brilliant. I love that the main coroner, the dad, is old school style, and so he does the little bells on the ankle. Like
Just
that
the one
terrifying.
as a joke, though. But like, why not all of them? Just that one. Just the one strychnine shotgun guy.
No, all of them had it. I thought.
No, just that one guy.
Oh, okay.
Which is like a
I
weird
thought
joke.
The girl
but,
with the eyes had
good
it.
For him. No, she just had scary eyes and a scary mouth.
Oh yeah, that was really scary.
And then she went, and her mouth ripped. You couldn't see what I was doing if you were just listening to this episode, but you should trust that it was very spooky looking.
It was very. I'm
very
kind of
spooky.
unsettled. I'm honestly unsettled. But the ideas of them being like weird zombies going around, obviously we know they're puppets to her magic if this is all actually happening. But yeah, I mean, it's just got to be these like high-powered hallucinations, but she still has force with them. Like she can she can manipulate matter. She did yeet with her mind, with her magic. She did yeet the dad like across the entire bathroom, you know? But it's all in their heads. God, I love that. Great.
Yeah, if Emma and Stanley both survived the movie because those were just hallucinations, I like it so much more. And also, frankly, it tracks with the logic of this movie, which is it's not that everyone who comes in contact, although I have some questions. Maybe some of it just doesn't make sense. But she presumably, Jane Doe, gets the family in the house in the beginning, and then she gets the two coroners who are specifically messing with her body. But she doesn't seem to have any beef with Bruce Bolton. She does have beef with the guy driving her corpse away at the end, which I understand why him and not other people who any of the other police officers who were on the scene in the beginning, you know what I mean? But
yes. Sorry. And she might have to be close to them in order to do
maybe.
it. Yeah.
Maybe. And she just had extended proximity with Tommy and Austin. But given that, it makes sense why Stanley and Emma would not be involved, because they have nothing to do with her. They have nothing to do with her. So of course they get to be spared. You know what I mean?
And your question, I think that you're thinking for the first killings is, why would they be killed if they didn't like mess with her body, hurt her in some way? I think maybe desecrating her grave constitutes that.
Kind of rude. Yeah. I can see how that would be a little rude.
She's like, I've been asleep with my beautiful brain that's still buzzing around, even though none of my organs work, for hundreds of years. And now you're going to get me out of this beautiful red dirt. Excuse me. It contrasts so nicely with my skin tone. How dare you? And then that's a murderable offense for her. And you know what? Go for it, babe. Do what you got to do. But
cool.
I do think the one thing that is a little annoying to me about this movie is the whole, like, they created a witch just by fucking with her so much. That's just a little weird for me.
Yeah, I think for the dad to be like, witches are fake, but you can make a witch. It's like, how does that really make any sense? But actually, I have another discussion question on this subject.
Okay. Lay it on us.
Because IMDb trivia said that historically speaking, a woman of Jane Doe's age roughly would have been more likely to be an accuser at a Salem witch trial than to be a victim at a Salem witch trial. And I found an article on Looper that talks about a Reddit theory posted in 2017 by user Topsy3 that suggests that that Jane Doe was an accuser, and that it was a coven of witches that cursed Jane Doe. And so that's why she's like imbued with magic and had like that the witchy cloth with her tooth in it, like stuffed down her throat, and like witchy runes and writing on the inside of her skin.
Topsy-turvy, good idea.
Topsy3, good for you. Yeah, I like that.
Oh, I like
it's
that.
More, it makes more sense to me. To have her be cursed, and that's why she's evil, because she was a mean bitch in real life, and now she's cursed, so she's an even meaner bitch. And also it makes sense why she would have this like desecration of her body on the inside but not on the outside, but also some degree of healing ability, because her whole thing is caused by magic done to her. It makes sense why there would be like runes on the inside of her skin that would, I don't know if they were like peeled off and then put runes on them and then they were peeled back on. But that, I like it much more as a theory. It's much more interesting to me. But isn't that a fun theory? Isn't that a really interesting theory? Don't you like it more than what
I like it so much more?
Is? And like, why would that guy know? You know, he doesn't know anything.
Yeah,
he can't be like, witches are myths. But I also have a myth, which is that people made her a witch. Like, no, first of all, you're not an authority figure.
Just because you're old doesn't mean you know everything.
I like that theory though.
I like him. But yeah, no, it makes sense too, because it's just witches are powerful, right? They're supposed to be powerful. So like they created a witch, but like all she could do was like be in this literally eternal torture where she's having thoughts but can't do anything about her situation. If she's just been buried for hundreds of years, that doesn't make sense to me. With this new information, this as the idea of this as a horrible torture for eternity for ratting out witches, that's fucking sick. That makes a lot more sense.
They said and that's why get stitches and you will have them forever, you little bitch. You little bitch.
You love
and that's why her tongue won't grow back.
Hey, said snitches get stitches. You can never tell on anybody ever again. I don't know why she has a vaginal tearing. That is one mystery we will never be able to solve, but maybe she just that was a unrelated personal business. You know what I mean? Maybe that had nothing to do
Not for us
with
to know.
Yeah, that's her thing. We don't
But
kink
it's
shame
her
here. You know,
business.
whatever
That's
she's got going on, good for her, other than the accusing witches thing, which is unconscionable.
Unconscionable. Yeah, wow. Okay. I didn't think I
Wow,
could like
I
this
love that
movie
theory.
more, but I love this movie even more now.
I would love to know the director's take on some of this. You know what I mean? Because I feel like we're bringing a lot of really cool, interesting stuff to the table, and so are other people. And there's so much room in this movie for those things to be true. And if there was any whiff of intentionality in that, I like it a lot more than I do if it was on accident. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah, that said, we still like sleepaway camp because, we imbued our own meaning into it now years later, that sort of thing. So we take it and we run with it. We take the story and then we turn it into Harry Potter fan fiction, like that's just the nature of it.
Media is collaborative. You can't have a piece of art without somebody to I mean, you could, but part of art is communal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What I bring as the creator is only half of it, and what you bring as the viewer is half of it. And it's a collaboration between us, which means everybody's always going to have their own individual experience, but which means that I can make this movie be whatever I want it to be for me. For you. If somebody else wants it to be a boring movie where the girlfriend gets axed in the face after speaking 2 lines, then they're wrong, but they can have that as well, I guess.
If that's their thing.
If that's their thing. If they like women to get murdered for no reason, I guess that's their thing.
They're fucking psychopaths.
Yeah.
So this movie, like Monica and I said before, like this is maybe one of the scarier movies that we've watched in recent episodes. What was your or y'all's, I guess, favorite like scary moment? Y apostrophe A-L apostrophe S, y'all's.
It's possessive.
Yeah. Because I know mine. When I was sitting there, it's like right near the very beginning, not very beginning, but like early in the movie. And little baby Emil Hirsch is like walking down the hallway and looks around the corner, and they have those big like reflective mirrors.
Oh.
And you see just like a shadowy body figure. And I was like, oh fuck, I forgot. Oh no. Because like I had a Monica moment with this movie, and I was like, I have seen this movie before, and I forgot literally everything about this movie. So I
love that a Monica moment is just like
when you come in fresh to a movie you've already seen.
Right.
When your memory deletes itself. It just goes, oh, I'm so sorry. The file is corrupted. Did not save.
No, a Monica moment, if you'd like to put a positive spin on it, a Monica moment is when you have seen a movie and you go, gosh, I sure wish I could see that for the first time again. And then you get to.
Wow,
and
it's a beautiful way to spin it. But beautiful, beautiful way to make me feel better about maybe brain damage that I have.
You got somebody, some higher power looking out for you, being like, oh, did you like that movie the first time around? Do you enjoy to be scared and surprised again? And then it delivers that experience to you. How lucky.
Okay, for my favorite scare though, I still have memories of this movie, even though it's been 2 days since I've seen it. My favorite scare, well, one, the first time the bell tinkles, that is amazing because I just love callbacks like that. There's like a sound that like evokes this image in your mind, and you don't even have to see it yet. There's a few other movies that I really like that use that same trope and use it well, like this movie did, and I loved that. But jump scare wise, the part, I can't remember exactly the lead up, but the dad is in the bathroom and he hears something rustling in the shower, and Emil Hirsch looks at him and can see the outline of a woman behind the curtain, and he goes to say dad right as he goes to look, and then the door slams and shit hits the fan. That scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, on that bell thing, I read an article on slashfilm.com called
slashfilm.com sounds like a porn thing to me, but I understand how it's not.
It's called
anyway,
How
continue.
the Scariest Scene in the Autopsy of Jane Doe uses a single sound effect to deliver maximum horror. And it's talking about the bell, which is really interesting because he's, or is it a he? That, no. Oh my God. Internalized misogyny. It's a person named Megan Navarro, won't assume their gender. But they said timing is crucial when it comes to frightening moviegoers. But oh gosh, would anybody like to try and say the director's name? Because
oh, let me look.
Does anyone know how?
Let's see what it is. I have to look at it directly.
No, but I know that he has directed Troll Hunter and
oh, I wonder how. So it's Andre, but over though, I don't know how you do the O with the slash through it. Should I call in
How
Adam? Do you think he'd know?
Is this guy Polish?
No, I don't think that's a Polish thing. But is it European in general? He knows more European things than me.
He does know more European things.
How does one even? Oh, I
Adam,
know how to do.
Do you know how to pronounce the O with the slash through it? This? I don't know if that's like a European thing.
How to pronounce? Hold on, I found a website. How to pronounce Andre Overdahl pronunciation in Norwegian. Let's see.
Scandinavian.
Oh gosh, well she sure did it in an accent. She said it. Andre Overdahl is gonna. It's my best final answer. Andre Overdahl. Anyway, the article says.
Thank you for your...
That's how you say it.
That doesn't help at all.
Oh, that's how you say it. Oh, that's how you say it. Thank you so much. You've been so unbelievably helpful. Could not have done this.
You know what? It really actually helps me so much when the O with the slash through it has a little hat on top. That really informs a whole
that knits all the pieces together. Anyway, the sentence is, timing is crucial when it comes to frightening moviegoers, but Overdahl proves to be downright diabolical by planning out Pavlovian conditioning to maximize the terror, which is so interesting because it's literally a little dinging bell. You know what I mean? Like extremely Pavlov's dog. So I thought that was really interesting. I read another article on birthmoviesdeath.com about how this is like very folklorian, not Taylor Swift, to do another through reference to a previous episode. You guys don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about zombie Taylor Swift on What Lies Beneath. Anyway, moving on. Anyway. It's like a folk tale in that it gets told over and over again, without any necessarily like clear resolution or satisfying ending, in terms of Jane Doe's body being discovered over and over again, or going on to its next victim over and over again. And the characters don't necessarily get like affirming character growth having survived an ordeal. They just get got. So that is interesting.
I like that.
But in terms of the scariest part of the movie, it made me jump for sure the first time he's looking in the vent, and before we see what really happened, what didn't really happen to Stanley, and he just gets scared by something. I thought that was scary. When we first hear the bell, it was really scary. There was a moment when he keeps putting his face next to things, but on this one, he's like hacked a hole in the morgue door to the hallway with an axe, and then he's like peering out the hole, and then you see this scary spooky woman on the other side doing what I demonstrated for you earlier, where her mouth is sewn shut and then she like tears it open. That I thought was very spooky good. But there were a lot of scares in general now, I thought, in this movie that were really well done and were really fun. And I did like that first mention of the spooky song, where I think the line that we heard the first time, unless they played it at once before with the sunshine and I just didn't clock it yet. But the lyric is, "Mommy told me something a little girl should know. It's all about the devil." And then they changed the lyric, but they circle back to it later on. And we get more of that song, and it's like, "One thing's for sure, you're not going any." Oh, and then the devil song. So I thought that whole song was really great, and was really fun, even though I don't know why Jane Doe has decided that this is her favorite song. Although, you know what? Sometimes you just pick one and you just like it. And it doesn't matter if it came out 300 years after you lived and died. You know what I mean? Sometimes something just speaks to you.
It's her jam, man. She heard it through the ground down to her final resting place. And she was like, this song slaps. And it's about my boy, the devil.
Yeah, maybe she had a moment in the 1950s where she was resurfaced and then buried again. Like, who knows? You know what I mean?
Not us.
Certainly not us.
Certainly not us.
Certainly not us. But it's also like a clear reference to what keeps you alive, with like a spooky little song about the devil. You know what I mean? So I appreciated that. And I thought this was a really good, not just scary movie, because every movie we do is quote unquote a scary movie, but a movie that is actually scary. Like, I'm not scared that often with most of the movies that we do, and this one I did have scares, and I really liked that.
The first time I saw this movie, it absolutely fucked me up. I saw it in all the right circumstances on the TV with the subwoofer on. It was nighttime. I was not alone, but I was still scared. Like, actually, I think I was alone the first time I saw this, because I watched it for the second time with Adam. Oh, I'm a psychopath. But yeah, it slaps. It slaps.
Oh, just before we move on to our segments, one thing that was a goof on IMDb trivia that I also noticed, because there are plenty of goofs on IMDb trivia that I don't give a shit about, frankly. Like, one of them is like, the tooth they find in her stomach is a bicuspid, not a molar, like the tooth that she's missing. And it's just like, whatever. They used whatever tooth they had. I don't know why. Doesn't matter. But one
really, because
I
read that and I was like, you know which fucking tooth it is. You know what a fucking molar is compared to a bicuspid. Sure. Why not just get it right? You're creating the props yourself.
Lazy.
You didn't have to find a tooth somewhere.
Well, maybe they did. Maybe that's a real tooth. And they just said, my daughter lost her bite. Well, I don't know. It's not my business.
People have wisdom teeth. Those are molars. Just grab
true.
Someone's wisdom teeth. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
My goof that bothered me primarily is well, there's two actually. One is corsets worn by people in Salem in the 1600s. And also, the way that we talk about corsets today in film and movies is not the way that corsets were worn. Whenever an actress has to wear a corset in a movie today, she's always like, I can't breathe. They made these to keep women's not able to do anything or whatever, which, like, no, that's modern day directors trying to make your waist look as tiny as possible because they think it's like an aesthetic. You know what I mean? And we're just like taught that it's a historical thing, but for the most part, people wearing corsets in the olden days, it's just like wearing a bra today. You know what I mean? Like, does it squeeze you a little? Yeah, because it has to be supportive. But other than that, it really, nobody was using it like a waist trainer for the most part, unless you were like a special person. But so that was anachronistic. But also, where is her body hair? If she is from the 1600s, why is her body hair absolutely pristine? Not a single hair on her. Why isn't she a hairy little bitch? Where's her leg hair? Where's her leg hair?
She does have pubes,
a bush, though.
She does, but it's so neatly trimmed. Come on, she's from the 1600s. You're telling me that was one of her concerns back in the day. I would like to see this bitch covered in hair. It's just like, okay, here's the thing. They do this all the time in stuff. Just because Ruth Bolton, we have the Game of Thrones connection here. The woman who played, gosh, I think her name was Asha in the show. Also maybe the books, and then Asha was Yara. Anyway, so Asha is the wildling who like comes and is with Bran, and primarily Bran, but also Rickon, or whatever pronunciation. But the actress who played Tonks in Harry Potter, was like, I wanted to have a full ass bush because she's a wildling. Why would she be shaving her pubes? And the directors were like, no, she must be hairless to appear naked on screen or whatever. Like they wouldn't let her do it, even though it made sense. And it's the same thing here. Like she has to be like this beautiful young figure to like intrigue you in the beginning of the movie, so she must be hairless, even though a witch or not witch from the 1600s would have all kinds of body hair. They were not removing it back in the day. They just weren't. Why would they? And she certainly is not going around modern days and getting a little wax, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that woman was waxed.
She was absolutely hairless, and I just think that's dumb. That's really my main complaint, actually, now that we've solved all of our other discussion questions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then like to get into our first segment, how could it be gayer? I mean, I feel like this movie's already pretty gay. It's like a hot, if we don't listen to Topsy Turvy, this is a sexy lesbian witch who is fucking up some dudes. So
all witches are gay, and
gay
we
rights.
know this.
Yes. Yeah, or not, and it's Topsy Turvy's idea, and she was a mean heckler. But maybe in her thousands, billions of years, not thousands of billions, hundreds of years of being punished underneath the earth, she's thought a lot with her brain that still works, and she's like, you know what? I like women.
It took her a while to reach that conclusion, but around the pre-love period, the 60s, you know what I mean? She was like, things were ticking away in here. And maybe counterculture to the 50s, you know what I mean? Above ground, everybody is doing the Leave It to Beaver, little nuclear family thing. She's underground listening to this song and being like, do you know what? I'm not like these other hoes. I'm gay, actually. And I love that for her. I love that for her.
Good for her. Love
that aside, I don't really need anybody else in this movie to be gay. You know what I mean?
No, there's not enough other people.
Like the dad could be gay. He doesn't need to be. The son could be gay. He doesn't need to be. And maybe
the cop maybe is gay. Maybe the other coroner who drives the body away, maybe he's gay.
Who knows? Yeah, we certainly just don't have enough information. And I'm not gonna go out of my way to make either the son gay or have any other kind of gender identity, or just be a cisgender woman and just swap it out so that it could be a gay love story with Emma. I'm not invested in any of the relationships here. You know what I mean? So like the witch is gay, regardless of whether she started as a witch, regardless of whether she started gay. She is now.
Yeah.
At this point in time, she's a gay witch. And that's really all that matters to me.
Yeah. Additionally, if we turned any of the main characters that die into people who are gay, then it makes this movie homophobic, and therefore we can't do it.
Bestie.
So sorry. But okay, something we can do is add Matthew Lillard into the film. I feel like he would be a huge benefit to this. You know, this came out in 2016, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's a great cop age, though I loved that cop. He would have been a great little cameo for the sheriff, just the coroner at the end. But also, if we could time swap a little bit, I would love to see a younger him be a spicy little Austin, the young coroner, to be grappling with his family's legacy. You know, I feel like he could take on that role.
But also, if you could time swap him, wouldn't it be kind of interesting to see him in the dad role? No? Not at all to you?
A little bit. I like the dad a lot. Emil Hirsch, I like too. But
Emil Hirsch, I have no feelings about, other than he was in that sexy movie with Alicia Cuthbert. And so I was not paying any attention to The Girl Next Door, where she plays like a porn star. And it was one of the movies I was obsessed with as a child because there was a sexy girl in it. And only now looking back do I go, why didn't you realize anything sooner?
I thought actually I didn't see the sign.
Yeah.
Did y'all never watch the 2005 skating masterpiece Lords of Dogtown?
He's in that?
Yes.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, and he's
I haven't seen it either. I didn't watch Speed Racer either, which is what I thought you were going to say.
Formative for your skater love? Like, is that
probably, honestly?
Yeah, I was shocked to know that was who Emil Hirsch is because I've heard that name so many times. And then I was like, oh,
I thought for
this
sure
man,
Emil
I
Hirsch
have
would
no
be in.
recognition
I
of
thought for
this man
sure.
at all. But he was good in it. He was
Oh,
good in it. I thought he was great. Good job.
Good job, Emil
Good
Hirsch.
job.
Good job,
But it could have
Emil
been
Hirsch.
Matthew Lillard, you know?
Yeah.
Just saying.
Matthew Lillard could have been the Belle dead body.
Ooh, Matthew Lillard as a spooky dead body would be fun.
Right?
I would love that. Love
Like,
that. He has the range to be
he
a
does.
corpse,
And
for
you
sure.
could, if you wanted him to not be so recognizably Matthew Lillard, you know what I mean? That guy's got his face blown off. You could easily slot him into one of those spooky roles where he gets to be there and he is in fact Matthew Lillard, but the audience doesn't necessarily watch the movie and go, "Hey, that's Matthew Lillard."
Lillard.
Because I would do that in any movie that I saw with Matthew Lillard. You know what I mean? I would always go, especially if he popped up like halfway through or near the end, I'd be like, "Hey, that's Matthew Lillard."
Listen, I'm about to watch
beautiful.
He's All That just because Matthew Lillard is in that movie.
Yeah, and it's like one scene, and all of a sudden he's gonna pop up for 5 seconds, and you're gonna go, "Hey, that's Matthew Lillard."
Matthew Lillard.
Hey, that's Matthew Lillard.
I didn't know he was in that. God
Yeah.
damn it. Now I have to watch it.
Yeah, because
All
he's
right.
in the Orig.
Weekend plans acquired. Okay, so dumb bitch for this movie. Honestly, it's kind of hard.
it is kind of hard.
Because I wouldn't put Daddy-O and Sonny-O in that spot. They are just doing their jobs. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? They're not bad people.
And
the
there's no reason
girlfriend-
for them to have thought anything earlier on should make them stop what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
that's a corpse. It doesn't have a pulse. Like,
they're going
they're
through the
not in
motions
the wrong.
properly.
yeah, and they're concerned about what happened to her. It's not like they're like, fuck this corpse, you know?
Mhm.
Oh God, that could be misconstrued. But they're very respectful to the body and following all of the rules, you know. So I don't blame them. The sheriff isn't doing anything bad either, besides the fact, you know, ACAB, but like he's just trying to figure out what happened with all these dead bodies at this other house, you know.
The dumb bitch is clearly whoever caused our beautiful Jane Doe to be this way.
Unless that was witches, in which case they're not dumb bitches and they're punishing her.
Well,
way
then
that
the
she
dumb
should
bitch
be
is her
punished.
parents who caused her to be a snitch.
Yeah.
That's it.
Or the dumb bitch is
Done.
her herself for being a snitch on some nice witches.
You leave those witches alone, Jane
Oh.
Doe.
Come on, girl.
First
Come
of all,
on.
why would you ever mess with a witch in the first place? That's just stupid.
It's so stupid.
Are you dumb?
Do you
Are you
want to
dumb?
die?
Yeah,
You
come
want
on.
to die. You have a death wish.
My God.
Sad. So it could be Jane herself, but it really depends on what actually is happening in this movie. And it is all up in the air, but we did decide that
We
she was
decided
created-
that, yeah, our
Yeah.
version is the most valid version, frankly.
Yeah, so based on our version of events, with the help of Topsy Turvy, Jane Doe is the dumb bitch. All right. So knives out of fives. Chelsea, what did the good people think about this movie?
People liked it. On IMDb, it got 6.8 out of 10, which I feel like is a very consistent IMDb rating that we've been getting lately. But maybe we've been picking generally well-received movies. But 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb, and then on Rotten Tomatoes, it got 87% fresh from critics, which is pretty high, and 70% fresh from audiences, which is less high but still good.
Yeah. So who wants to go first? Who wants to rate her?
I'll do it.
Cool, because I was gonna volunteer, but I wasn't ready, honestly.
I need time.
I need a moment.
I'm going to give this 4 out of 5 knives.
Okay.
I love the setting. The entire time I was just like, what if I quit radio and become a mortician? Like, what if
I
I
support you,
did
bestie.
that?
Not too late.
It's not
It's
too
not.
late. I love the buildup of this movie, like them digging into her body and like finding out more things. Like, is a really good build. I didn't really like how they explained all of the stuff in the end. Like, it kind of lost it for me there. I love Topsy Turvy's rendition, that makes me actually like truly enjoy that movie a little bit more. But I was spooked. This movie spooked me. It was like a fun little indie flick. Like, sure, it had its issues, but I had a great time watching it. And I was like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. As a jumping off point, I agree with what you're saying. I think like I said at the beginning of this episode, I was willing to be talked into really liking this movie. I think we did that. Because I think if we accept Topsy 3's theory that she was the accuser and she was cursed, and that's how she got cursed, and not just they tortured her until magic spontaneously burst out of her. I like that. If we go with our theory that hashtag Emma lives, hashtag Stanley lives, because those are parts of the hallucinations, I like that 1 billion times better. Monica's explanation that like the curse continues at the end and Emil Hirsch dies because he stopped the healing process before it could be completed when he stabbed his dad, instead of letting his dad bear like the full brunt of the agonies that Jane Doe has been through. I liked that. And so all those three things together, if I form my basis and understanding and feelings of the movie on those conclusions, then I really like it. Then I think it's very cool. I think it's very smart. And I would probably give it like 4.5 knives out of 5, because it also was pretty spooky to me. You know what I mean? If we accept our conclusions, great movie and very scary. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to give it a full 5 knives out of 5s because I'm not prepared to give it so much credit for things that we kind of had to piece together among the three of us, and a Reddit user from 2017. But that aside, yeah, I and also again, why does she keep healing and being buried? Whatever, that, who cares? Honestly, not my business. But yeah, other than that, I like our conclusions. I like the scares. Within that lens, I would watch it again.
Hell yeah. I'm really glad that we convinced you that it's good, but that you sort of liked it on its own, or you liked it on its own too. But yeah, this conversation has definitely made me love this movie even more. And I was like a big, huge fan beforehand. But just echoing what you guys said, and some of the reviews that I read also said this, like when they try to explain what's going on, that's the biggest fault in the movie, but luckily they don't do that for very long, so you can almost forget like Tommy the dad coroner's big revelation, because like I was like, that's kind of stupid. You know, just like oh, they created a witch because they tortured her so much. Like, okay, that's a thing. No, it's not. So like, but luckily, because that doesn't become like, I don't know, it doesn't turn into some like thing where they're trying to talk to her as a witch or something for the rest of the movie. They save themselves from their own mistake and they don't harp on it. But I love what we've come to the conclusion. I'm so glad I'm not the only one who was like, there are only 3 corpses at the end of this movie and there should be 4. And yeah, I don't know. This was such a fun one. And I feel like I've been giving really high scores lately, but maybe I'm just in a good mood when it comes to horror, because I'm going to give this one 4.5 knives out of 5s as well, because it's not perfect, but damn, it's a wild ride. Damn, it actually shook me up, and I don't get that shaken up anymore, because I'm so desensitized because we watch 3 horror movies a week at this point. But yeah, great job, director, whose last name we still cannot pronounce, but we will Google it after this recording session. So the crazy thing is that our next episode is actually our season finale.
Dun dun dun.
Season 1. You can't believe it. You're like, what? I thought they were just going to keep doing this every week in perpetuity until we all die. Well, that is true, because we're not actually really taking a break after season 1 is over. There'll just be 1 week without a normal episode. But we wanted to go out with a bang, go out with a classic, go out with a movie that somehow Chelsea has not ever seen before. Go out with a movie that is okay, it's not the first Alien movie that we've done, like Alien themed movie, because we just did The Faculty, but we haven't done nearly enough Alien themed movies for Monica's taste. So finally, we're going with the OG, one of the best, Alien. Alien.
And I'm excited because, again, I haven't seen it, but also we've got a lot of really good through lines, a lot of really good clear references here. And the IMDb for this movie, Stephen King compared the visceral horror to Alien and also to Cronenberg of The Fly. So Alien, we've got a through line right there. We've got a cat. That's a through line as far as I know for Alien. I know that there's a cat in it. And like you said, we just did The Faculty. So there's, which obviously referenced Alien a decent amount, given that it was a very referential movie and it was about aliens. So you really couldn't avoid it. But I've never seen it and I'm very excited to see it. And I know it's a classic. So I'm ready.
Fuck yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be a fun one and a great one to end out a great season 1. So we'll see you guys next week. In the meantime, if you're feeling excited, why not rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser? You could also rate us 5 stars on there. It will make you feel good and it'll make me feel even better. So think about it. Also follow us on social media at spooky_Tuesday for Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We're also on Facebook and Tumblr at Spooky Tuesday Pod. And finally, check out our letterbox at Spooky Tuesday. See all these reviews in case you forgot if we liked the movie or not. It's a great little reminder. Thanks for listening.
Bye, Spookies.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Haidt, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamra Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Captain Tamra. And our podcast art is by Mary Murphy, who you can find on Instagram at the_moon_OMG.
No one could see what we have seen.